The stars above the colony world of Vega 9 burned cold and distant, their light barely touching the small, struggling human settlement below. The colony had been built with hope, a symbol of humanity's reach into the deep void, but now it was a silent outpost surrounded by fear. For months the colonists had sent distress signals, calls for help that vanished into the endless dark. No ship came. No answer returned. They were alone. The problem began when a Zarathian raiding fleet appeared on their sensors. The Zarathians were known across the galaxy for their brutal conquests. They enslaved or destroyed every species they met. When their ships entered Vega 9's orbit, everyone knew what that meant. Governor Lara Hensley, the leader of the colony, stood on the command platform, staring at the giant holographic display. The red dots representing the alien fleet filled half the screen. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. "Any word from Earth Command?" she asked softly. The communications officer shook his head. "No response, ma'am. The last transmission went out 72 hours ago." Lara closed her eyes. "Keep trying." Around her, the crew moved with quiet fear. They had seen what Zarathians did to colonies that resisted. Vega 9 was small, defenseless, and far from Earth. Even the nearest Terran fleet base was several light years away. Help was not coming, or so everyone believed. Outside, through the dome's glass ceiling, the colonists could see the black silhouettes of the alien ships gliding silently across the night sky. The stars disappeared one by one behind their massive hulls. The last hope fades in the engineering bay. Marcus Wren, the colony's chief mechanic, sat beside a flickering power core. He was fixing a cracked coolant pipe, but his thoughts were far away. He had served once on a Terran Navy vessel before settling here. He knew how military rescue operations worked, and he also knew Vega 9's position was too far to matter. When his young assistant Juno entered the room, Marcus didn't even look up. "Still no reply?" he asked. "None," Juno said quietly. "People are saying Earth doesn't care about us," Marcus sighed. "Earth cares, but caring doesn't always mean they can reach us in time." He looked out the small viewport. The alien fleet was moving closer. The Zarathians were patient hunters. They would block escape routes, jam communications, and wait until fear broke their prey. Zarathian command ship on the flagship Vorath Kel. The alien commander Tsarek watched Vega 9's blue surface with cruel amusement. The Zarathians had studied humans for years. They considered them dangerous, clever, emotional, and unpredictable. But this colony was isolated, vulnerable. "Begin orbital lockdown," Tsarek ordered. "No signals leave this system. When we finish, we will make an example of them." His second officer, a tall creature with scales that shimmered silver, hissed softly. "Commander, the humans are known to fight even when hopeless. Should we not destroy them quickly?" Tsarek smiled, a cold reptilian curve. "No, let them see our power first. Let them wait for their saviors that will never come." The silence before the storm hours passed. The colony was wrapped in silence. Every family stayed inside, lights dimmed, praying that maybe somehow the Zarathians would leave. But deep down they knew that day would not come. Governor Lara sat alone in the control room. Her voice was weary when she whispered, "Maybe this is how humanity ends, forgotten in the stars." But just as she spoke, a faint beep came from the communications console. The officer straightened suddenly. "Governor, there's a signal, weak, but it's Terran." Lara jumped to her feet. "Put it through." The speakers crackled. A deep voice, calm and steady, came through the static. "This is TSS Valkyrie, Terran Navy designation Dreadnought 01. We received your distress call. Hold your position, Vega 9. We are en route." Everyone in the control room froze. For a moment, they couldn't even breathe. Then someone whispered, "The Valkyrie? That ship's real?" Marcus, listening from the engineering bay, dropped his wrench. "Impossible," he muttered. "That ship was decommissioned years ago, but the signal was real. The Valkyrie, Earth's strongest and most dangerous ship, was coming. The ship of legends, the TSS Valkyrie, was not an ordinary warship. It was a legend. Built during the darkest days of the Orion Wars, it was said to carry weapons so powerful that entire fleets had vanished before its guns. Many believed it was destroyed after the wars ended. Some said it was hidden because no one should control such power again. But now it was returning. Far away, beyond the system's edge, a single blue spark appeared in the void. Then came another, brighter one, Space rippled like water. A colossal shape emerged. Black hull gleaming under distant stars, engines glowing with faint white fire. The Terran supership Valkyrie had arrived. Inside the bridge, Captain Adrian Holt stood in the command chair. His uniform was dark, simple, and worn. He was a man of few words, the kind who carried old scars and older memories. "Status," he said calmly. "Engine steady. Weapon systems online. Stealth field active," reported his first officer. "Good. Plot a course to Vega 9. I want eyes on that alien fleet." "Yes, Captain." Fear turns to hope on Vega 9. News spread fast. The colony that had prepared for death now felt something new. Hope. Children looked out at the sky, trying to spot the approaching ship. Soldiers who had loaded their last rounds began checking their weapons again. Not to die, but to fight beside the ship that was coming to save them. Governor Lara sent another message. "TSS Valkyrie, this is Vega 9 Command. We're under siege by a Zarathian fleet. We have limited defenses. How soon can you arrive?" The reply came almost instantly. "ETA, 2 hours. Stay underground. We'll handle the rest," her heart pounded. They said, "They'll handle the rest." Zarathian confusion on the alien flagship. Commander Tsarek's mood shifted when new readings appeared. "Unidentified object entering system," said his sensor officer. "Mass reading." "Enormous," Tsarek frowned. "A planet fragment?" "No, Commander. It's a ship." "Human signature? A ship?" Tsarek laughed harshly. "A single ship against my fleet?" "Destroy it." "Yes, Commander." The alien fleet began to move, forming attack formations. They didn't yet know what they were facing. Approaching the battlefield inside the Valkyrie, Captain Holt watched the tactical display. The enemy fleet filled the screen, 42 warships heavily armed and positioned above Vega 9. His ship was alone, but he did not look afraid. "Helm," Holt said. "Prepare forward guns. Lock onto their flagship." The crew obeyed silently. They knew what the Valkyrie could do. A low hum filled the air as ancient Terran technology came alive. Mass drivers, plasma lances, and quantum shields. Systems that hadn't been used in decades were awakening. The Valkyrie's engines burned bright enough to paint the stars white. Holt's voice was quiet. "Let them see us." The stealth field dropped. Across the void, the Zarathian fleet suddenly detected a massive energy spike. A single Terran warship appeared before them, black, silent, and enormous. It dwarfed even their largest cruisers. Tsarek hissed, "What is that?" "Human dreadnought, sir," came the answer. "Designation Valkyrie." The commander's eyes widened. He had heard the stories. Every species had, no. That ship was destroyed. "Apparently not," said his officer. The black warship Valkyrie moved silently through the void, its engines glowing faint blue. To the people of Vega 9, it was a miracle. To the Zarathian fleet above them, it was an unknown threat, an old name from dark legends suddenly made real again. Inside the colony, the citizens stood together under the domed sky, watching the distant glow of the alien ships. The moment they saw a new light break through the darkness, a cheer spread like wildfire. "The Valkyrie is here," someone shouted, and that single sentence filled every heart with hope. Governor Lara Hensley stared at the sky, hardly believing what she saw. "They actually came," she whispered. Beside her, her aide smiled for the first time in days. "Ma'am, maybe we'll live through this." The calm before battle. On the bridge of the Valkyrie, Captain Adrian Holt stood with his arms crossed, his expression calm but sharp. The holographic map in front of him showed the positions of the Zarathian ships, 42 in total. They were forming a wide circle, trapping Vega 9 inside their net. "Enemy fleet composition?" he asked. The first officer replied, 30 cruisers, 10 destroyers, 2 command carriers. Their main weapons are plasma beams and ion missiles. They're heavily shielded." "Good," Holt said quietly. "That means they think they can win." He turned to his tactical officer, Lieutenant Mara Lin, a focused young woman with dark eyes. "Status of our systems?" "Quantum shields at full charge. Railguns and plasma cannons ready. Nova Lance online," she reported. "Then it begins," Holt said. "Let's remind them why the Valkyrie was built." Alien command in Paragon, the Zarathian flagship Vorath Kel, Commander Tsarek was trying to keep his composure. The mysterious human ship had appeared without warning, and even the sensors struggled to measure its power output. "Report," he barked. "Human dreadnought, designation confirmed. Valkyrie, replied the sensor officer nervously. Mass is over 5 times greater than our largest ship. Energy readings. Off the charts, Zarek hissed in disbelief. Impossible. That ship was lost decades ago. Yet it is here, Commander. The alien commander narrowed his eyes. Then we will destroy it, as we have destroyed every other human toy. All ships, attack formation Gamma. Fire on sight. A single ship against a fleet. The dark space between stars lit up as the Zarathian fleet opened fire. Dozens of plasma beams and ion torpedoes streaked toward the Valkyrie. The bright lines of destruction painted the void in deadly colors. Inside the human dreadnought, the crew felt the vibration as shields absorbed the first wave of attacks. Energy rippled across the hull, glowing faintly blue. Shields holding steady, Mara reported. Return fire, Captain Holt said calmly. The ship's main guns roared silently through the vacuum of space. Massive railgun slugs, each the size of a car, shot out at nearly the speed of light. The first round hit a Zarathian cruiser dead center, tearing through its armor and splitting it apart in a blinding flash. Direct hit, Mara said. Target destroyed. The bridge crew remained quiet, focused. They had trained for this moment. Fire the second salvo, Holt ordered. This time the plasma cannons joined in, launching brilliant waves of blue-white energy. 3 more alien ships exploded. The Valkyrie glided forward, untouched, cutting through enemy fire like a blade through mist. The colony watches. From Vega 9's surface, the battle was visible as bright flashes in the night sky. The colonists gathered outside their shelters, watching every burst of light. It's one ship, someone whispered in awe. Just one ship against all that. Marcus Wren, the colony's mechanic, watched too. His face was lit by the flickering glow from above. That's the Valkyrie, he said softly. I served on a ship once, but nothing like that. That's human engineering at its best. Governor Lara joined him. Do you think they can win? Marcus nodded slowly. If any ship can, it's that one. Inside the Valkyrie, the bridge shook slightly as a heavy plasma bolt struck the shields. Warning lights flashed. Shield integrity at 80%, Mara reported. Captain Holt didn't flinch. Divert power from aft thrusters. Focus all energy forward. Yes, sir. The ship's AI voice echoed through the speakers, calm and mechanical. Energy redistribution complete. Forward shields at 100%. Target their carriers, Holt commanded. If we cut their command lines, the fleet will scatter. The Valkyrie's railguns rotated with smooth precision. 3 shots fired. The rounds vanished into the dark. Then seconds later, 2 distant flashes lit up space. The alien carriers were gone. Zarathian fear on the Vorath Kel. Chaos spread through the crew. Officers shouted, screens flickered, and alarms wailed. Carriers 1 and 2 destroyed, yelled a technician. Half our communication relays are down. Commander Tsarek slammed his claws against the console. Impossible. It's just one ship. His advisor whispered nervously. Commander, it's the Valkyrie. The stories say it carries forbidden Terran weapons. Maybe. Silence, Tsarek shouted. But deep down, even he began to feel fear. The stories he once mocked now felt real. He turned sharply. All ships, regroup. Surround it. The fleet tried to close in, but the Valkyrie was already moving. Its engines roared, pushing the massive dreadnought forward like a meteor. The ship twisted gracefully, dodging plasma beams with movements that seemed impossible for its size. The Nova Lance Captain Holt stood still as his crew prepared the next attack. Nova Lance charged and ready, Mara announced. The Nova Lance was one of humanity's most dangerous inventions, a weapon that bent raw energy through quantum compression, releasing it as a single unstoppable beam. It had only been fired twice in history. Holt nodded once. Target the flagship. The bridge went silent. Even the AI paused, firing in 3, 2, 1. A burst of pure white light shot from the Valkyrie's front cannon, so bright it looked like a new star. The beam sliced through the darkness, hitting the Vorath Kel squarely. The Zarathian flagship's shields collapsed instantly. The entire ship glowed red, then exploded in a storm of light. The blast illuminated space for several seconds before fading away, leaving only debris. Flagship destroyed, Mara said quietly. The crew didn't cheer. They simply stared. They had seen what their ship could do, and it humbled them. The turning tide. The rest of the Zarathian fleet hesitated. Without their commander, confusion spread. Some ships broke formation. Others tried to retreat. Captain Holt watched the tactical display. They're falling apart. Pursue the ones heading toward Vega 9. Don't let them reach the colony. Understood, said Mara. The Valkyrie fired again and again. Railgun shells and plasma blasts tore through the fleeing ships. Each explosion lit up the sky over Vega 9, a sign to the colonists that they were being saved. Within minutes, half the enemy fleet was gone. The message to Vega 9 Governor Lara received another transmission. The deep voice of Captain Holt filled the room once more. Governor Hensley, this is the Valkyrie. The main enemy command has been neutralized. We're still tracking a few ships, but the colony is safe for now. Tears filled Lara's eyes. Thank you, Captain. You saved us all. We're just doing our duty, Governor, Holt replied. Keep your people underground until the area is clear. We'll finish this. Then the signal ended. Lara looked around at her staff. You heard him. Humanity's finest is up there fighting for us. Let's make sure we're ready when they return. The aftermath of the first strike in orbit, only a handful of Zerathian ships remained. They tried to escape, jumping toward the outer edge of the system. But the Valkyrie was faster. Enemy ships retreating, Mara reported. Holt's voice was firm. Not today. Fire pursuit missiles. Dozens of guided warheads launched, chasing the fleeing ships. One by one, they exploded in distant flashes. When the last signal disappeared from the radar, Holt gave a slow nod. Status report. Minimal damage, said Mara. Shields holding at 60%. Weapons stable. Good, Holt said quietly. Then Vega 9 is safe. For now. Quiet victory. As the Valkyrie drifted back toward the colony, the crew could see the planet below, its small cities glowing softly in the darkness. Look at them, Mara said softly. They really thought no one would come. Captain Holt's expression softened. That's what makes humans different. We don't leave our own behind. For the first time in years, he allowed himself a small smile. Set course for low orbit. Let's give them some light. On Vega 9, the colonists stepped outside as the massive shadow of the Valkyrie passed overhead. Its engines hummed softly, casting a blue glow across the ground. For the people below, it was like seeing a guardian angel written in steel. Marcus whispered to his assistant, "That ship didn't just save us, it reminded us who we are." Governor Lara raised her hand toward the sky and whispered, "Thank you, Valkyrie." The crowd began to cheer, louder and louder, their voices echoing into the night. The hopeless silence of the past weeks was gone. In its place was faith, faith in humanity's strength. The stars above Vega 9 glimmered softly, their light falling on a planet that had just survived the impossible. The great warship Valkyrie floated in orbit like a guardian angel made of steel. Below, the people of the colony celebrated, believing the nightmare was finally over. But in the silent depths of space, something dark was moving toward them. The destroyed Zerathian fleet had sent one last signal before it fell, a desperate message calling for reinforcements. And far beyond the edge of the system, that message had been heard. The coming storm in the deep void, the Zerathian Grand Fleet emerged from hyperspace. It was not a small raiding force like before. This was an entire armada, hundreds of warships, carriers, and heavy destroyers. The largest of them all, a monstrous vessel known as the Harbinger of Worlds, led the way. Its commander, Overlord Zareth, stood before a massive hologram of Vega 9. His tall, armored body gleamed under the red lights of his bridge. His eyes burned with fury. "They destroyed Zarek's fleet," he growled. "They destroyed the Vorethkel. One Terran ship did this?" "Yes, Overlord," replied one of his officers. "A human dreadnought. Designation Valkyrie." Zareth's claws tightened around the edge of his command chair. "Then I will destroy this Valkyrie myself. Prepare the fleet. No survivors." Back at Vega 9 inside the Valkyrie, Captain Adrian Holt stood on the bridge reviewing damage reports. The ship had survived the first battle with only minor harm, but the crew was tired. They had been awake for over 30 hours. "Shield system stable, Captain," said Lieutenant Mara Lynn, checking her console. "Repairs to the outer hull are nearly complete." "Good," Holt said quietly. "But don't relax yet. The Zerathians never give up after one defeat." The communications officer turned suddenly. "Sir, we're detecting something." "A large energy spike in the outer sector." "How large?" Holt asked. The officer hesitated. "Extremely large, sir. Multiple signatures. Maybe hundreds." The bridge fell silent. Holt's eyes narrowed. "So they're coming." He turned to his crew. All stations, battle readiness. This isn't over. Warning: the colony governor, Lara Hensley, was in the colony command center when the warning came through. The hologram of Captain Holt appeared before her. Governor, listen carefully, Holt said. We're picking up a massive Zerathian fleet approaching this system. You need to get everyone underground immediately. Her heart sank. Another fleet? But we just survived one. This one is different, Holt said grimly. It's a full armada. We'll hold them off, but you must keep your people safe. Lara nodded firmly. We will. And Captain, thank you again. Holt gave a small nod. Just doing what we must. Valkyrie out. Preparing for battle. The ship came alive again with the sound of alarms and rushing footsteps. Engineers raced through corridors, checking power lines and weapon systems. Gunners ran to their stations. Every crew member knew what was coming, and they were ready. Mara glanced at the tactical screen. We're outnumbered at least 20-1. Numbers never won wars, Holt replied. Heart and skill did, and humans have both. He looked out the wide viewport at the stars. Let's show them why we survived when so many others didn't. The Grand Fleet arrives hours later. Space around Vega 9 rippled as hundreds of Zerathian ships appeared in flashes of red light. Their formation was enormous, an endless wall of warships stretching across the system. At the center floated the Harbinger of Worlds, its hull black and silver radiating power. Massive enemy presence confirmed, Mara said. They've surrounded the system. Holt stood straight. Then we'll meet them head on. The Valkyrie turned slowly, positioning itself between Vega 9 and the incoming armada. Alone again, it stood as the last shield between humanity and destruction. The first contact. The Zerathians opened fire first. A storm of plasma bolts, ion beams, and missiles raced through the void. The Valkyrie's shields flared blue as the energy hit. Waves of power rippling across the hull. Shields holding at 70%, Mara called out. Return fire, Holt ordered. The Valkyrie's main guns answered with fury. Giant slugs ripped through space, smashing into the front lines of the alien fleet. Dozens of Zerathian ships exploded in quick succession, but for every one destroyed, more appeared. The battle had begun. The Harbinger's challenge from the bridge of the Harbinger of Worlds, Overlord Zareth watched as his ships fell. But his anger only grew stronger. Focus all weapons on that dreadnought, he shouted. I want its ashes scattered across the stars. The massive flagship's weapons charged. Energy built up along its surface, glowing bright red. Then, with a deep rumble, it fired a beam large enough to split a moon. The Valkyrie's sensors screamed warnings. Holt braced himself. Evasive maneuvers! The human dreadnought dove downward, the beam passing just meters above its hull. Even so, the shockwave sent the ship tumbling. Stabilize the ship, Holt commanded, thrusters engaged. The Valkyrie leveled out, its hull glowing faintly from the near miss. That was too close, Mara said. Holt's eyes were hard. Now we know what we're up against. Counterattack target the Harbinger, Holt said. Fire everything we've got. The Valkyrie's railguns, plasma cannons, and missile batteries unleashed their full fury. Bright explosions erupted across the enemy lines. Smaller ships disintegrated instantly, but the Harbinger's shields held strong. They're still standing, Mara reported. Then we hit harder, Holt said. Prepare the Nova Lance, full charge. As the weapon powered up, energy lines across the Valkyrie's hull began to glow white-hot. The ship hummed with power, the deck trembling under the buildup. Nova Lance ready, Mara said. Holt took a deep breath. Fire. A blinding beam cut across space, slamming into the Harbinger. For a moment, the Zerathian flagship disappeared in a storm of light. But when the glow faded, it was still there, damaged but not destroyed. Shields partially penetrated, Mara said. But they're adapting, Holt frowned. So are we. Hope from Earth. In the middle of the chaos, a sudden signal came through. Faint but human. Captain Holt, this is Earth Command. We received your last battle report. Reinforcements are on the way. 3 Terran fleet groups, ETA 10 hours. Holt gave a small smile. Understood. We'll hold until then. He turned to his crew. You heard command. 10 hours. We hold the line. Every crew member nodded. They knew what that meant. 10 hours against an armada. It would be the longest 10 hours of their lives. Vega 9's resolve down on Vega 9. The colony trembled as bright flashes lit up the night sky again. But this time, the people did not hide in silence. Marcus Wren gathered a group of engineers and volunteers in the underground shelters. If the Valkyrie falls, they'll come for us next. We need to be ready. Power cells, medical stations, emergency bunkers, everything working now. Governor Lara spoke through the colony network. The Valkyrie is fighting for us. We will not lose faith. We are humans. We stand together. The colonists cheered even as the ground shook from distant explosions. The battle grows fierce. The Valkyrie was surrounded now. Every second brought another wave of attacks. The ship's shields flickered, its armor scorched and dented. Shields at 30%, Mara shouted. Keep firing, Holt replied, his voice calm. Inside the engineering bay, the crew worked desperately. Sparks flew as they rerouted power from non-essential systems. We can't keep this up forever, one engineer shouted. Marcus's voice came through the comm line from Vega 9. Captain Holt, we've got a crazy idea. We can use the colony's power grid to boost your shield frequency. It's risky, but it might work. Holt smiled faintly. Do it! Within minutes, new energy flowed from the planet to the ship. The Valkyrie's shields flared brighter again, pushing back the next wave of attacks. The turning point. Captain, Mara said, enemy formation breaking. They're confused. Then press the advantage, Holt said. The Valkyrie dove straight into the enemy ranks. Its guns tore through ship after ship. Plasma fire lit the darkness like a sunrise. Inside the Harbinger, Zareth growled, Enough, bring me that ship. The massive flagship turned directly toward the Valkyrie, charging for a head-on collision. Holt saw it coming. He wants to end this himself, he muttered. Fine, let's end it together. He looked at his crew. Prepare for ramming counterstrike. All power to the main thrusters. The clash of giants. The two ships rushed toward each other, one black and blue, the other red and silver. Every weapon fired. Beams of light crossed the void. Explosions burst between them like small suns. At the last second, Holt gave the order. Full thrusters! Roll starboard. The Valkyrie spun aside, releasing a full salvo of plasma torpedoes. The torpedoes struck the Harbinger's side, tearing a huge hole through its armor. The enemy flagship staggered, burning. Direct hit, Mara shouted. Their core is unstable. Pull back, Holt said. Moments later, the Harbinger exploded in a massive wave of light, its debris scattering across space. The battle above Vega 9 had ended, leaving a calm that felt almost unnatural. Space, once filled with bright explosions and deadly beams, was now quiet. The stars blinked peacefully as if nothing had happened. But below, on the planet's surface, the echoes of the war lingered. The colonists stepped out of their shelters slowly. The ground beneath their feet still vibrated slightly from the shock waves of distant blasts. Even though the Zarathian fleet had been defeated, or at least driven away, the people of Vega 9 knew this peace was fragile. Governor Lara Hensley stood in the central plaza of the colony, surrounded by citizens who had watched the Valkyrie fight for them. Her eyes were tired, but they sparkled with pride. She took a deep breath, letting the cool night air fill her lungs. Everyone, she began, her voice steady. We are safe. For now. The battle above us has been won thanks to the bravery of one ship, one crew, and their captain. But we cannot forget. Vigilance is our duty, the crowd nodded solemnly. Children clung to parents. Soldiers and engineers exchanged glances. Even after victory, fear remained, but hope burned brighter than ever. The Valkyrie in orbit high above Vega 9. The TSS Valkyrie hovered silently, its massive hull reflecting the soft light of distant stars. Captain Adrian Holt stood on the bridge, his hands behind his back, staring at the planet below. The battle had been won, but he felt no satisfaction. Only a deep, calm determination. Lieutenant Mara Lynn approached, her eyes scanning the tactical displays. Captain, the remaining enemy ships are fleeing. Scans indicate that no immediate threat is present in the system. We've secured Vega 9 for now, Holt nodded. Good, but we can't stay in one place too long. The Zarathians will regroup, and when they do, they'll come back stronger. He turned to the crew. All systems to low power. Begin repairs and recalibrate weapons. We're not leaving Vega 9 unprotected, but we need to be ready for the next strike. The crew moved efficiently, their actions precise and disciplined. Each knew the stakes. Earth's strongest ship was also its last hope for the colony. Rebuilding trust in the ground, Governor Lara walked among her people. She visited the families, soldiers, and volunteers who had worked tirelessly during the crisis. She reached Marcus Wren, the chief mechanic, who had been coordinating emergency power reroutes to help the Valkyrie shields. "Marcus," she said, placing a hand on his shoulder, "you did more than your duty. Thanks to you, the ship could hold against impossible odds." Marcus smiled faintly. "I just did what anyone would do. But seeing the Valkyrie out there, it reminded me why humans never give up. Even when we think we're alone, someone comes. That's the real power of humanity." Nearby, children ran through the plaza, playing under the glow of the colony lights. It was a small act, almost defiant, but it showed that life could continue, even in the shadow of war. Unexpected discovery as the Valkyrie's repair teams worked. A small scouting drone detected something unusual near the remains of the destroyed Zarathian ships. "Captain Holt," the drone operator said, "we've found something. It appears to be an alien data core. It survived the battle and it's still transmitting signals." Holt's eyes narrowed. "Bring it aboard. I want to see what secrets it holds." The crew carefully recovered the core. In the ship's analysis bay, technicians worked to decode it. "What is it?" Mara asked. "It's a Zarathian tactical archive," one technician replied. "It contains strategic data, locations of bases, fleet movement patterns, even intelligence on other species they've targeted. If we can understand this, it could change the war in humanity's favor." Holt's lips tightened. "Good work. Make sure it's secure. Knowledge is just as powerful as weapons." A moment of reflection. That evening, the crew of the Valkyrie gathered in the observation deck. The planet below glowed softly, peaceful and untouched now. Yet they knew the war was far from over. Mara Lynn looked out at Vega 9. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Holt didn't take his eyes off the planet. "It is, and it's worth fighting for. Every colony, every life. We protect them, because that's what humans do. Even when it seems hopeless, we do not give up." He turned to the crew. "Remember this. One ship, one crew, one mission. We make a difference because we stand together. That is what makes us human." A quiet murmur of agreement filled the room. Even the youngest crew members felt the weight of their duty and the pride of their achievements. The colony's gratitude back on Vega 9, the colony held a small ceremony in honor of the Valkyrie and its crew. Children had drawn banners, soldiers stood at attention, and citizens gathered to express their thanks. Governor Lara addressed the crowd. "We cannot repay what the Valkyrie has done, but we can honor it by continuing to live, to work, and to stand strong. We have been reminded that humanity's strength is not only in weapons or ships, but in courage, unity, and determination." The colonists cheered. Some hugged, some wept, but all felt the bond between their small world and the great ship in orbit above. A shadow lurks. While Vega 9 celebrated, the remnants of the Zarathian forces had not disappeared entirely. Scattered groups fled into nearby systems, sending encrypted messages into the darkness. "We underestimated the humans," one officer said. "They are not like other species we have conquered. They fight with intelligence and heart. We must retreat, regroup, and strike again when we are stronger." Overlord Zareth, however, was not so patient. From his hidden command station, he observed the Valkyrie and Vega 9. His eyes burned with rage. "Humanity thinks this victory permanent," he hissed. "They will learn. No victory is without cost." Even from across the galaxy, his words seemed to echo in the void. Training for the future, the Valkyrie could not remain idle. Captain Holt initiated rigorous drills for his crew. Simulations of fleet attacks, evasive maneuvers, and emergency repairs consumed their days and nights. "Training is essential," Holt reminded them. "The enemy learns quickly. We must learn faster." Mara Lynn led a team to study the alien data core. "If we can anticipate their moves, we can prevent Vega 9 from ever being in danger again," she said. Even in the midst of calm, the crew understood one thing clearly. Victory was temporary, and preparation was permanent. Unexpected visitors. Several weeks later, Vega 9 received a surprise arrival. From deep space, a small fleet of human vessels appeared, led by a Terran admiral. The ships bore sleek designs and advanced technology. Governor Lara watched from the surface as the new fleet approached. "Reinforcements." "Finally," she whispered. The admiral contacted the colony. "Governor Hensley, we've come to assist with recovery and defense. Captain Holt's ship has held the line admirably. Now together we will strengthen Vega 9's defenses." The colonists cheered once again. For the first time in months, there was not just hope, but certainty that humanity would protect its own. The Valkyrie's secrets back aboard the Valkyrie, Captain Holt studied the alien data core carefully. He discovered something astonishing. Hidden among the Zerathian strategic records were maps of unexplored regions, some of which contained resources, ancient artifacts, and planets potentially suitable for human colonies. This changes everything, Holt said. We can not only defend humanity, we can expand it. Knowledge is a weapon, and it is now ours. Mara Lynn looked at him. So the fight isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving, Holt nodded. Exactly. Humanity doesn't just endure. We explore, we protect, and we grow stronger no matter the odds. A quiet promise. The stars above Vega 9 were calm once more. The Valkyrie floated in orbit, a sentinel over a planet that had seen humanity at its strongest. Captain Holt stood at the observation deck, looking at the distant horizon. We've survived today, he said softly. But tomorrow we prepare again. For humanity does not wait for the enemy to strike, it stands ready always. Mara Lynn stood beside him. And the people below? They've seen what we're capable of. Yes, Holt said. They now know why we fight and why we will never give up. Below, the colony slept peacefully. Above, the Valkyrie remained vigilant, a black shadow of hope in the vast, quiet stars. Somewhere in the darkness, the remnants of the Zerathian fleets plotted their revenge, but humanity's strongest ship would be ready. And for now, that was enough. The calm over Vega 9 was fragile. The people of the colony had begun rebuilding, repairing homes, and restoring systems damaged during the battles. But Captain Adrian Holt knew that the threat was far from gone. The scattered Zerathian forces were regrouping, and somewhere in the shadows, Overlord Zareth was plotting revenge. The Valkyrie floated silently above the planet, its black hull reflecting the faint glow of distant stars. The crew moved through the corridors, conducting final checks on weapons, shields, and engines. Every system had been repaired, upgraded, and tested. They were ready, because tomorrow the war would return. Lieutenant Mara Lynn approached Holt on the bridge. Captain, sensors indicate massive fleet movement beyond the system. They've gathered a force at least twice the size of their last attack. Holt's face remained calm. Then we meet them head on. Humanity doesn't wait for defeat. We strike first. Vega 9. Prepares on the surface. Governor Lara Hensley coordinated evacuation protocols and defense positions. Citizens were assigned to shelters, engineers to emergency stations, and soldiers to defensive posts. Despite the looming threat, there was no panic. The people had seen what the Valkyrie could do. They trusted humanity's strength, and now they would fight alongside it in spirit. Marcus Wren, standing in the power grid control room, tapped into the colony's energy reserves. If they break through orbit, we'll channel power to the Valkyrie's shields again. It's risky, but it will buy time. Lara looked at him with respect. Do it. Every second counts. Children peeked from underground windows, curious but safe. They would remember this day forever, the day humanity stood united against the stars. The enemy returns deep in space. Overlord Zareth watched his massive fleet through the lens of his command station. Thousands of ships, carriers, and destroyers glimmered in formation. His voice was calm, but each word carried a weight of menace. Valkyrie, he hissed, you will not survive this day. Humanity will learn its place in the galaxy. The fleet surged forward, cutting through the void. Energy readings spiked, engines blazing. The Zerathians were relentless, a tide of red and silver moving toward Vega 9 like a storm. On the Valkyrie's bridge, sensors screamed alerts. They're here, Mara said quietly. And they're faster than predicted. Holt's eyes narrowed. Then we show them why humans never surrender. The first clash, the Valkyrie moved boldly into the incoming fleet. Every weapon fired, every system pushed to its limit. Bright railgun slugs tore through the first waves of enemy ships. Plasma. Beams and missiles streaked through space, exploding upon contact with alien armor. Even with hundreds of ships in the fleet, the Valkyrie remained unbroken. Each attack was met with strategy, precision, and overwhelming firepower. On Vega 9, citizens watched the flashes of battle light up the sky. Cheers and gasps filled the air. The colony understood that the ship above them represented more than just defense. It represented hope. Zarathian strategy overlord Zareth was cunning. He ordered a split attack. Half of the fleet would engage the Valkyrie directly, while the other half would attempt to strike Vega 9. Divide and conquer, he said. Destroy the ship and the planet below. Show humanity the cost of defiance. The Valkyrie detected the split immediately. They're trying to trick us, Mara observed. Holt gave a calm nod. Then we fight both. Focus on the fleet heading for the planet first. Nothing reaches Vega 9. The ship's thrusters flared, maneuvering into position between the colony and the incoming enemies. The first wave of attackers crashed into shields powered by the planet's energy grid, sparks flying across the hull. Shields holding, Mara reported. Energy reserves at 80%. The battle intensifies, the Valkyrie's weapons fired continuously. Railguns pierced alien armor, plasma cannons tore through enemy formations, and the Nova Lance charged for its next strike. A squadron of fast Zarathian destroyers attempted to flank the dreadnought. Holt anticipated their move. Deploy the anti-fighter arrays. Let them think they have an advantage. The arrays activated, sending rapid energy pulses across space. Ships were shredded before they could reach the Valkyrie. Direct hits confirmed, Mara said. They're trying to regroup. Holt leaned forward. Good. That means we have the initiative. A moment of human brilliance below in the colony, Marcus Wren coordinated a daring plan. We can create an energy pulse using the planet's main power core. If timed right, it will boost the Valkyrie's weapons and shields simultaneously. Governor Lara hesitated. That could overload the system. Marcus smiled faintly. Yes, but sometimes the right risk saves lives. It's the only way. Lara nodded. Do it. Humanity survives today. Moments later, a massive surge of energy flowed into the Valkyrie. The ship shone brighter than ever, shields strengthened, weapons firing with unmatched intensity. Nova Lance again. Captain Holt made his move. Target the enemy command fleet, Nova Lance fire. A blinding beam of energy tore across the void, striking multiple enemy carriers. Explosions lit up space like new stars being born. The fleet wavered. Chaos spread as ships collided, shields failed, and engines overloaded. Even Overlord Zareth's flagship took a direct hit, its massive hull glowing red under the force of the strike. For the first time, the Zarathian commander hesitated, the turning tide. The Valkyrie's crew did not pause. All systems, focus on the retreating ships. Do not let them regroup, Holt ordered. Railguns, plasma cannons, and guided missiles destroyed the fleeing vessels. Within hours, the Zarathian fleet was reduced to fragments, drifting silently in the void. Holt's voice was calm but firm. Vega 9 is secure. Humanity stands unbroken. Vega 9 celebrates. The colonists poured out into the open once the battle ended. Cheers, hugs, and tears filled the night. Children ran through the streets, waving banners they had drawn to honor the Valkyrie. Governor Lara addressed her people. Today, humanity has proven that even in the darkest hour, we do not yield. Courage, unity, and determination have won the day. Remember this moment. Carry it forward. We are human, and that alone is enough to face any challenge. Marcus Wren watched the celebrations, smiling faintly. The ship didn't just fight for us, it reminded us who we are. The Valkyrie's legacy captain Holt stood on the observation deck, staring at Vega 9. Below, life was returning to normal. Above, the stars stretched infinitely, filled with unknown dangers. Mara Lynn joined him. Do you think this is truly over? Holt shook his head slowly. No. There will always be threats out there. But humanity has something the universe cannot take away: courage, intelligence, and the will to survive. The Valkyrie may be the strongest ship, but it's the people that make us invincible. Mara smiled. Then our work continues. Holt nodded. Always. And someday we'll explore the stars beyond, not just defend them. Humanity does not just endure. We thrive. A final message. The Valkyrie sent a message to Earth Command. Its voice was calm, steady, and resolute. Vega 9 is safe. The Zerathians have been repelled. Humanity stands ready, and wherever there is need, we will answer. This is what it means to be human. Across the galaxy, Terran fleets and colonies received the message. A wave of hope spread through every human outpost. No matter the distance, humanity could fight back and win. Looking to the stars, the Valkyrie floated silently in orbit as Vega 9 slept peacefully below. The stars stretched endlessly, each a reminder of both danger and opportunity. Captain Holt looked out the viewport and whispered, "We have survived today, but tomorrow we grow stronger." Mara Lynn stood beside him, watching the stars shimmer. "We'll be ready," Holt smiled faintly. "Because that's what humans do. We do not wait for hope. We carry it, and we protect it with every ounce of our strength." Above them, the black hull of the Valkyrie reflected the infinite cosmos. Alone, powerful, and unyielding, it had proven that humanity could face the impossible and emerge victorious. And on Vega 9, the people slept with the quiet assurance that Earth's strongest, most dangerous ship was watching over them.